Hey everybody, it's Jim of Animateducated. Today you're going to meet Luigi Allemano, who is a professor at Concordia University up in Montreal. He's a animation filmmaker, music composer, and a sound designer. And you can hear his work in a new Oscar-nominated film called The Flying Sailor by Amanda Forbis and Wendy Tilby. It's up for an Oscar, and he's going to talk to us about sound and what he did on that film.
I guess my first formal training was in music, but then I also went to animation school, and I've gone sort of back and forth between the two my whole career. Yeah, I don't know where it really started. I guess my family background is more towards the musical side. My sister's a musician, my father's a musician. We've had musicians in the family for a long time. On my mother's side, there are some artists, so I guess I've had both all along. But yeah, I've gone to music school and I've gone to animation school.
And as a music composer and sound designer, you've done work for a lot of National Film Board of Canada films, and you had like five of them that have won Oscars.
I have worked on many National Film Board of Canada films. That's kind of my main animation collaborator, I would say, is that studio. And now five of them have been nominated for Oscars.
Oh, okay.
The ones that I've worked on, this is kind of, I guess it's the curse of Luigi, is that you might get a nomination, but you probably won't win. So this current one, The Flying Sailor, is the fifth one that I've worked on where it's been nominated. And I'm hoping to break that bad luck streak and have this one actually win. Uh, but also, of those five that I've worked on that have been Oscar nominated, it's only two of them I worked on as a composer, and three of them I worked on as an animator. So yeah, just I'm sometimes introduced as this Oscar-winning composer, but that's actually not true. I'm an Oscar-nominated composer. If the idea of this film is that this character is experiencing what's essentially a near-death experience. It's based on this true story of a sailor who got caught up in the Halifax explosion of 1917, where the whole city was destroyed by this accidental collision between two ships, one of which was filled with munitions. This explosion sent him flying through the air, and he miraculously survived. So, what was that experience like for this character? And Wendy and Amanda had proposed this idea that he hears beautiful music, and what would that music sound like in the memory of a person such as this flying sailor? Um, and so, through his mind, how would he remember a famous piece of music like that?
How do you go about when someone brings in an idea or for a film, or is it all finished, or do you start off from scratch, or how does that work?
In the case of the Flying Sailor, Wendy and Amanda had already put together a pretty strong musical composition sketch by just using existing music recordings and sort of editing them together in a way that sort of gave a really strong indication of uh, the way they wanted the music to develop, the timing of it, the feeling that it should give. And then my job at first was sort of to replace that music with compositions of my own. And then as the process evolves, or evolved, I should say, there was a little bit more back and forth until pretty soon it was an actual collaboration where we were talking about very specific instrumentation and let's try it with the flute, let's try it without the flute, and we got really detail oriented. And in the end, what we hear in the Flying Sailor, most of it is the real live orchestra being recorded. But we did a lot of experimentation with recording music and then manipulating it, pitch shifting it, slowing it down, speeding up. And in the end, we decided not to use that sort of pitch shifted stuff in the music. We shift that idea over into sound design. And the music ends up being pretty much, the live performances that we captured in the studio, with layers of pre-recorded stuff that I generated or got from other sources. So it's in that case mostly, I guess, what you'd call traditional orchestral film scoring. And, you know, the picture was fairly close to completion by the time I was brought on board, which is one way of working, right? Like the traditional way of film scoring in post is that the composer would receive film when it's in its final stage. That's kind of a thing of the past. We're now receiving, you know, well, I have to be careful what I say. Some of the projects I'm currently working on, I'm receiving a new cut very frequently. I mean, it could get to the point where you're getting a new cut every single day, and that's really hard to manage. But that's, you know, that's the double-edged sword of our technology, that we have the option to do it. So I guess creatively, you want to leave that option open, if it's good to do so creatively.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Luigi Allemano about, he's the sound designer on Flying Sailor, and we hope that that film does win an Oscar and it breaks his cursed the curse of Luigi, as he called it. And if you enjoyed this interview in any way, you can subscribe by pushing that button right there. And I'm going to put some other videos up here. One of them will be Luigi's kind of part 2, where he's going to be talking about sound design in animation. I hope you tune in for that and take a look. And anyway, I'll see you next time on Animated Educated.